Hello, everyone. Welcome to another day at Streaming School. We are joined this morning by Action Jackson. Very excited to have him. We did miss out on one of his sessions yesterday, but he is back. How are you?
I'm doing very well. I'm excited to be back. I don't like missing free streaming school, honestly. It feels weird.
Right. I won't take up any more of your time, and you can start by motivating us today.
Excellent, excellent. Good morning, everyone. This is Action Jackson, here to motivate you, to make you feel better about yourself. I don't know what side of bed you woke up on this morning, but whatever side you woke up on, listen, it's time to bounce into the happy space. I'm a motivational speaker, and I've been doing this now for the last 10 years, and I love what I do with a great passion. And today, I'm so excited. I'm known as the UK Ambassador for Happiness. Yes, that's my role. I make people happy for a living. Whether you're a student, a parent, a teacher, a professional, whatever level you're at, my job is to make sure that you are happy. So today, I want to really share with you some steps towards happiness. It's Mental Health Week. And mental health is something that's very, very important. I think everybody should take their mental health seriously. But sometimes when we hear about mental health, some people say, well, I'm not crazy. Everything's okay with me. No. It's like physical fitness. There's physical fitness, there's financial fitness, and there's also mental fitness. So rather than use the word mental health, I'm going to use because we all need to be fit mentally in order to tackle our studies, in order to tackle our exams, in order to deal with some friends sometimes, or sometimes in order to deal with family. That can sometimes be a bit like, So today I want to share with you very quickly 10 steps to happiness. 10 steps to happiness. I mean, there's more, but if you follow these 10 steps, guaranteed you're going to feel happy about your life. So I'm going to share my screen here so that I can go through my slides. So take note. I'm sure you can go back and watch this again to kind of help you stay on top of behind this. So always use, I think you are amazing because there's only one of you. If there's a few, but the truth is, you are amazing because there's only one is unique. Did you know that your tongue print is also unique to you? Your thumbprint is unique to you. Now, what does this have to do with happiness? Well, your thoughts always affect your emotions, and your emotions will always affect everything I'm going to teach you in the next couple of minutes is going to affect your thoughts. Trust me. But I want you to take it on board. Not just take it on board, but I want you to begin to actually live off the back. Number one, hate less, love more. Now, hate is a very, very strong word. Maybe you've used the words hate before. Oh, I hate this person. Or I hate that thing. Well, what we're trying to say is, all you need is love. All you need is love. Love. Love is all you need. The more you love, the better. So look at the areas of your life and ask yourself, I hate this, I hate this. Whatever you say I hate to, then try and turn it into, you know what, instead of hating, let me love more. Look for more things to love rather than more things to hate. Number two, worry less and dance more. Some used to say, Jackson, I can't be dancing, I have to worry. Well, worrying never changes anything, does it? The last time you worried, what did that do to your life? It made things worse mentally. So what I need you to do is to find your favorite track. And for me, everyone knows me. I love dancing. And I love all kinds of songs. There's songs, there's one I've been on lately. And it's this guy right here. Now, why is dancing so important to your well-being? Well, because when you dance, it's to your brain. And you don't have to move that much. I feel good. You see that? Simple, dancing more. Number three, I want you to take less and give more. What's that about? Well, look for opportunities to give to people time, energy, maybe money, maybe encouragement, maybe send a silly video to a friend. That's giving. Number four, I want you to consume less and create more. This is all to do with social media. I know you're always TikToking, YouTubing, Instagramming, Snapchatting. Well, how about you create a slide around this or take a picture of this and do a video around what you think about what I've just taught you? That's creation. Writing a poem, that's creation. These are proven facts that it can actually increase your happiness. Frown less and smile more. Look at this. Look at this. Yeah. Smiling triggers good, happy chemicals in your body. So right now, I want you to smile, big smile on your face. There you go. Many chemicals have been released in your body, and there's no side effects to these chemicals. Number 6, talk less and listen more. I think this is really good because the more we talk, we don't have the opportunity to listen. But when you listen and not giving it, what's the point? When you listen to people, you pay attention to who they are. People always scared of trying new things. They say to themselves, what if I fail? What if this doesn't work? What if this doesn't go well? Just try more. In trying, you build up muscles. In trying, you build up your confidence. What new things are you going to try this week? Number 8, judge less and accept more. I love this. See, when I was growing up, I would look at people who were different to me and I would judge them because they were different to me. Just because they didn't speak like me, look like me, walk like me, eat like me, dance like me, I would look at them and say, oh, you're different. Rather than accepting their difference, I judged them. Are you the kind of person that judges? If you do judge, guess what? It's affecting your mental toughness. You need to learn to accept more. The more you accept me,
And I think we might have lost him. Not sure Action Jackson is with us anymore.
Is it me? Is it magically?
No, I think he's just dropped out and he's come back.
I don't know what technology was doing there.
It's all right.
I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yep, you're back and we can hear you.
I'm back. Nothing's going to stop me from finishing my slides.
No.
You persevere. Okay. So finally, let me just wrap up the steps towards happiness, because obviously your happiness is not going to be complete unless I finish these slides. So the final 2 is, and I love this, and some of you might be guilty of this, is
Not sure it's working.
What gardening?
Nope, I think I've lost him again. Sam, are you still there?
I'm still here, Nish.
Yeah.
Follow me on YouTube, Action Jackson Live.
Got that bit.
Great note to end on.
Oh, thank you, Jackson. We can hear the end of that.
Streaming School.
Can just about hear him.
Good stuff. I think he's passed over to us, or to you, Nish.
Right.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Well, that's what happens when you try and use a whole bunch of tech to get this going, but it's all right. It's all right. It happens.
That's the beauty of live internet, live television. There we go.
Exactly. How are you, Sam?
I'm all right, thanks, Nish. Yeah, I'm good. Today's a big day. It's moving day. So I'm moving to the new house today.
Oh, exciting. That's exciting.
Yeah, so I'm just busy running around, packing the car, making sure I don't scratch the car. I should have just got a lorry, really. But there we go.
It's all right.
Are we staying alive or?
Yep, we are still alive.
Okay,
yes,
awesome.
I think Jackson's still here, but that's all right.
Okay, wonderful.
It's all good. Ready for your PE session today? What are you going to be teaching us about?
Wonderful. Today we're going to go through some more stuff on the skeletal system because there's so much to go through. But then we'll be working on the cardiovascular system and talking about slow twitch fibers, whether you've got slow twitch or fast twitch. What have you got, Nish?
I can't tell you.
Okay, well, hopefully in the next 20 minutes or by the end of this session, you'll be able to tell me.
Yep, I did a science degree, so I should know, but...
You got type. Well, in fact, you know what? I'm going to save it for the session.
Oh, okay. Okay.
We've got a couple of videos. One of them I won't apologise for because it's super cute, but I will just warn people that it's super cute. So yeah, see how they find that. It's about the blood cells.
Oh, okay, cool.
Okay. Shall I begin?
Yeah, you can start.
Brilliant. Okay. Well, yeah. Good morning, everyone. I hope you're enjoying the sunshine as much as I am. And we'll begin. So, if you can share my screen, please, Nish. It's just loading.
Cool.
On Mr. PowerPoint. Brilliant. So, as you can see on my screen, it says what we're going to look at. So, we're looking at the movements of the joints. And we're going to be talking about muscle fiber types, bone classification, cardiovascular system, and past exam questions, which we always like to go through. So first of all, we're looking at the movements of the joints. As you can see, there's multiple amount of different movements you can make. With the arm, you've got flexion and extension. Now, of course, they work as opposites. So as one extends, the other one flexes. And we spoke about flexion as if you were to bring your wrist up to your shoulder, the bending a joint. If you're flexing your muscles, that would be flexion. And then from a flexion, so you're showing your muscles and then extending your arms to straighten the limb at a joint, that would be extension. And of course, you can flex both your arms, you could flex and extend your legs as well. And you've got a couple of pictures here of a basketball player with a bent arm flexing. And then, of course, the extension will be when he shoots or as the discus thrower is doing down here. Then you've got abduction and adduction. So the abduction is the movement of a limb sideways away from the body. So again, if you can see this gymnast here, he's moving his legs outwards, so it's away from the centre mass of his body. So that would be abduction. And of course, adduction, which we'll move to the next slide shortly, is the opposite. So it will be the coming together of the body parts. So again, you could use his legs there and nice and close together. So that's adduction, that movement from out to in, whereas abduction is the movement from in to out. Rotation and circumduction. So rotation, of course, is the circular movement. So if we were just to rotate our wrists, that would just be a rotation. Whereas circumduction would take part, if a swimmer, for example, you can see butterfly stroke, so it's a full 360 degrees movement. Another one might be a fast cricket bowler, or any bowler actually, if they were making 360 degrees movement with their arm to bowl the ball. Dorsiflexion and plantar flexion are the other two that you need to know for GCSE. So plantar, remember P for point, and dorsiflexion is where we lift our toes up to our shin bone. So the long jump, for example, they're going to lift their toes up so that they can get as much distance as possible, and pointing your toes, of course, in gymnastics or perhaps in football to get more power. So dorsiflexion and plantar flexion. But as long as you can remember that these both work in opposites, of course, when one relaxes, the other one contracts. That's what we spoke about in terms of muscles. And it's similar to that in movements as well. So now we're looking at the fast twitch fibers. Now you're born with a combination of both slow twitch and fast twitch, but because of genetics perhaps, or the way you're upbringing, your environment, and of course, just hard work and training, you can improve and increase the amount of slow twitch or fast twitch fibers you have. So slow twitch fibers are also called red fibers because they have the most blood carrying around in the fibers. This obviously creates a darker appearance as well. So type 1, which we call slow twitch fibers, can also be called the red fibers. They can provide their own source of energy as well, so they can sustain for longer periods of time. So a good example of a slow twitch fiber athlete would be, again, I always use him, but Mo Farah, a long distance runner, or anyone with long endurance exercises. And of course, then we look at type 2A, which is kind of a combination between the both of type 2B and type 1. Moderate fatigue rate, so they can run for maybe 1,500 meters, 800 meters, or perhaps they're a team playing sport like a football player where their endurance is really spread out over a longer distance as opposed to short distance runners. That leads us on to type 2B, which is fast twitch, and that's for short distances at high intensities. Now, slow twitch fibers, going back to them, have a low activation threshold, which basically means they are first recruited when a muscle contracts. And obviously, if they can't generate the amount of force necessary for a specific activity, then the fast twitch fibers must engage. So what that means is if Mo Farah was doing his marathon run, and then for the last 200 meters, he just had enough energy to sprint, and of course, he would go from type 1 to type 2B. So they can obviously switch between exercises. And actually, I've got a video for you to really go through the details of fast twitch fibers.
There are 3 different skeletal muscle fiber types, known as type 1, type 2A, and type 2X fibers. The difference of size, color, contractual speed, contractual force, and energy source classifies each fiber. Type 1 fibers, also known as slow twitch fibers, are the smallest fiber types with a darkish red color. It has a fairly slow twitch speed and produces a relatively small amount of force when contracted. It has high amounts of mitochondria, which are organelles within each cell that uses oxygen to produce energy. Although the force generated is fairly small, type 1 fibers are highly fatigue resistant, allowing it to be active for long periods of time. They are the primary fibers used during low-intensity activities with steady oxygen consumption, such as walking, jogging, or aerobics. Type 2A fibers, aka moderate fast twitch fibers, are also red but intermediate in size. These larger fibers typically use a combination of oxygen and glucose as a source of energy. This combination allows for quicker contracting speed and higher force output compared to type 1 fibers. However, fatigue resistance isn't as high. These fibers are typically activated during anaerobic activities that are moderate in duration, such as a mile run, swimming, and short distance cycling. Type 2X fibers, aka fast twitch fibers, are white in color due to the low oxygen capacity and by far the largest fiber type. It makes up for the lack of oxidative capacity by having extremely high levels of glucose in a stored form of glycogen, producing the fastest twitch speeds and the most force. The downside, though, is that the fiber fatigues quickly, burning out after 15 to 30 seconds. High-impact, heavy resistance activities such as lifting weights and sprinting will activate type 2X fibers the most. For any
Brilliant. So as you can see on that video, it really goes into detail in terms of type 1, type 2, and type 2B. They describe it as type 2X. As long as you can identify the difference between type 2A and type 2B, then that wouldn't be a problem for your GCSEs. We're going to move on now to the bones and the classification of the bones. So you've got 4 types of bones that you need to know for your GCSEs. So you've got the flat bone, short bones, long bones, and irregular bones. And of course, there's 206 bones that are fused together eventually that are divided into 5 categories. Now, for your GCSEs, you only need to do 4. And the first one is the long bone, which is a cylinder-like shape, if you will. And its term describes the shape of the bone. So a lot of people think a long bone must be the longest, so in size, but actually it's more to do with the shape as opposed to the actual size. And as you can see, long bones, the femur, which is found in the leg, it can be found in the leg with the femur, the tibia, and the fibula, and the arms would be the humerus, the ulna, and the radius. It can also be found in fingers with the metacarpals and phalanges, and also in the toes, the metatarsals and the phalanges. Which we'll then move on to the short bones, because there we look at the wrists and the ankles. So that will be your carpals for your wrists and your tarsals for your ankles. The short bone is, again, it's not quite a cylinder, it's more of a cube-like shape, and it's because of its width and its thickness. And like I said, it's really the tarsals and the wrist. They provide stability and support, as well as some limited motion. So again, if you think about how much motion you can do with your wrist, and compare that to your long bones, so your fibula and your tibula are course, they're more the leverage. As you can see the function here, your long bone is more for leverage as opposed to stability and some movement. We look at the flat bones. So again, it's thin. They say it's flat, but actually, even though it's called a flat bone, it is also curved in its shape. So the flat bone is really, the reason why it's called that is because of how thin it is. Examples include the cranium, the scapula, and the sternum. So we've got the skull, obviously the shoulder blades and the breastbone, and of course the ribs. And the flat bones serve as points of attachment for muscles and often protect internal organs, similar to the one that we're going to move on to now, which finally is the irregular bone. It doesn't actually have a categorized shape, and therefore it doesn't fit into any other classification. These bones tend to have more complex shapes, and there are your vertebrae, and we've got some facial bones as well, which would be irregular. Okay, and they're purely to protect internal organs. So you must remember those 4 bone classifications. We've got long, short, flat, and irregular. Now we've got some questions really that summarise everything we've done in terms of the skeletal system. And before we move on to the cardiovascular system, I'm just going to answer probably 5 or 6 of these. If I can just minimise my screen. And we're just going to go through some of these questions. So hopefully you can shout out a few of them at home. If you want to write them down on paper, I'm going to give you a few seconds on each one to try and answer the questions. But if we start off with the top left, and I'll just pick them out at random. This is what is an example of a pivot joint. And then we've got the, we spoke about on Tuesday, week 6, the atlas and axes of the neck. One example. If we jump down to, in fact, just turn that into red colour. So then if we jump down to the question below, we've got what are the 3 examples of the hinge joint. So if you can remember the flexing and extending of something, so we've got the elbow, we have the knee, and you could have the ankle. And we'll look at a few more. We've got the condyloid joint. If you remember the condyloid joint, that is a joint where it can rotate, and it's also used for support. So the wrist would be a great example. And remember, you might be asked a question in GCSEs, not only what is an example of a condyloid joint, but exactly what is its functions and the properties or the responsibilities of that body part, of that part of the skeletal system. What is the name of the bone in the upper arm? Of course, we've got the humerus. Just turn that with red. And of course, remember in the lower part of the arm, you've got the radius and the ulna. What is the name of the kneecap? Patella. What are the functions of the skeleton? Big part of your GCSE questions, I'm sure they could come up. You've got 5 things. We'll start with joints for movement. We would have the muscle attachment. You would have the protection of vital organs. Protection there. You've got the blood cell reproduction, or production, sorry. Blood cell production. And finally, you've got the storage of minerals, such as calcium, phosphorus, really important for strengthening your bones, your teeth, etc. We'll just do these last 2 on the left-hand side. What is the thigh bone called? And of course, one of the long bones, as we described earlier, it's not the femur, it's the femur. And finally, if we look at the 2 bones, which we spoke about already, actually, but we'll get down anyway, and that's the ulna and radius. Okay, so there's some more questions here on the right-hand side. I'll just shout them out in case some of you have answered them already. The 4 types of joints are the pivot, hinge, ball, socket, and condyloid. The hinge, pivot, ball and socket, which you find in your shoulder, and your condyloid, which we spoke about earlier, you'd find in your wrist. Two examples of ball and socket. As I said earlier, we've got the shoulder and also the hip. What's another name for the skull? Of course, cranium. The collarbone is the clavicle. 5 parts of the vertical column, which is the cervical, the brachii, and the lumbar, the sacrum, and the coccyx. And the 2 bones in the lower leg are the tibia and fibula. The fingers and toes. The one, obviously, you've got your metacarpals and your metatarsals, and the carpals and tarsals. But the one that appears in both is the phalanges. And then finally, the bones that protect the heart and the lungs would be the ribs and the sternum. So, I hope that test was useful to you to really summarise what we've done so far in the skeletal system. We're now going to move on to the cardiovascular system, which, of course, as you can see, includes the heart, blood vessels, and the lung itself. And we are going to move on to a quick little video that I hope you might enjoy.
I ride the highways of something called the circulatory system. I like to call it the circle system because I keep going in circles. This system is made of your heart and blood vessels that carry your blood to different areas of your body. Your blood vessels are like tiny tunnels that run all through your body. They are made up of arteries that take oxygen to places in your body and veins that take carbon dioxide from your body to your lungs. This is my highway. But I can't move by myself. I move within your blood when it moves. How does your blood move, you ask? Why, your heart pumps it. Let me show you how. Your heart is the most important muscle in your body. It moves by itself, and even though you can hardly feel it, it keeps moving all the time, even when you are sleeping. Want to feel your heart move? Sit very still and put your hand on your chest. If you're running hard or exercising, you might find it easier to feel. When your heart moves, it's called a heartbeat. Your heart makes at least 100,000 heartbeats every day. When your heart beats, it pulls blood into it and pushes it out again. This helps the blood to move fast enough to go through your whole body and back. And it helps me to pick up my deliveries and take them to different places in your body. I'm not alone in there. There are lots of red blood cells just like...
So I hope that you found that video not only amusing, but also really useful to get an introduction to the cardiovascular system. So we spoke about the functions of the skeletal system and the structure. We're going to look at now the structure of the heart. So you've got 4 real parts, there's many parts actually that make up the heart. There's 4 things that we're going to go through into the structures of the heart, and then we'll look at the functions as well. So first of all, the right atrium. So obviously, as you look at the picture, that's from a heart looking at you, if you will. So the right hand side would be the upper chamber, which is where oxygen comes in from, and it's taken in from the lungs, and then it's passed down into the right ventricle, which is the lower chamber containing the oxygenated blood. You've got in between the right ventricle and the left ventricle, you've got something called the septum, which we'll go through in a minute, because actually I think I've got that on another slide. And then you've got the left ventricle, which is a lower chamber containing deoxygenated blood, and then it passes up to the left atrium, which is the upper chamber receiving deoxygenated blood. And then, of course, there's parts to the heart that, if we look at the 4 main vessels, will give us more details. So the pulmonary artery, the vena cava, the aorta, and the pulmonary vein. So the vena cava returns deoxygenated blood to the heart. The pulmonary artery carries deoxygenated blood from the heart to the lungs, and the pulmonary vein returns oxygenated blood to the heart, where the aorta has oxygenated blood, which is pumped at high pressure from the heart to the body. So as you can see, the septum, which was that wall that we spoke about that divided both the left and the right side of the ventricles. Then you've got the tricuspid valve and the bicuspid valve. So the tricuspid valve is really to prevent blood flowing into the right atrium from the ventricle, and the bicuspid would prevent flow flowing back into the left atrium from the left ventricle. And then you've got 2 semilunar valves, which prevent expelled blood flowing back into the heart. Okay? Brilliant. So if we look at the structure of the blood, of course we spoke about red blood cells and white blood cells. So we'll just finish on red blood vessels, red blood cells. Words out in a minute, which carry oxygen from the lungs to the muscles and remove carbon dioxide. So, of course, the more red blood cells you can have, carries more oxygen, which allows you to perform for longer at a high level. Okay, as it says here, contain a red-coloured compound called hemoglobin, which bonds with oxygen to form oxyhemoglobin. Okay, Nish, if you can put it back on the screen, please.
Excuse me. All right, cool.
Yes, so we worked on the structure of blood. We're going to work on the structure of blood, but today we finished off with the skeletal system and moved on to the cardiovascular system. So next week, I'm not sure which day it is, but I'm sure Nish will fill us in a minute. Next week, we're going to work on the structure of blood and really go into more details about the respiratory system as well. But I hope you enjoyed today's session. Have a good day and enjoy the sunshine.
Thank you so much.
Cheers, Nish.
Thanks a lot. All right, guys, that was our only session for today. We are back tomorrow with 2 more sessions, and then it will be the weekend, and we have a bank holiday, so we won't have any sessions on Monday. If you want to catch up on any of the sessions, you can on Facebook and on YouTube, and I'll put all the tasks and resources in the descriptions of those. And there's also the Streaming School website. Thanks a lot. Have a good day.